You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
Here we are, folks. It is the first week of September. We haven't even gotten into the meat of September, but the first week of September used to be, like when I was a kid, the first week of September was the last ditch effort to have fun before school started, right? And now the first week of September is the start of the Halloween season, which Halloween used to be like 4 days. Like you could pick your costume on the 26th, the 27th, try it on, walk around, and then the 31st, hit the streets, get the candy, and then it's over. But we Americans have stretched Halloween to the point of ridiculousness to where I'm sitting here in my living room, and Rachel has already decorated the entire house for Halloween. It is the first week of September. And I'm already sitting with pumpkins and skulls and black cats and the newest Halloween thing, which is Dia de los Muertos stuff. So like, oh my God, as if Halloween wasn't long enough. Now it starts. And this putting it up to today or a few days ago was like pushing it because she was ready to go August 31st. And I said, you can't, it's too early. It's too early.
It will be all year.
This is the equivalent of putting up Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving. It just isn't done. Anyways, welcome, 91 Reasons. I'm the voice. I am Jeff, and most of the Tucker family is wandering around the house tonight. I have Rachel over here.
Hi.
Austin over there.
Hello.
Yeah, he goes hello like anybody can. Joseph's in the other room.
He's doing homework.
Yeah, but we are sitting here. We have a special guest on the show. We have a fellow co-worker from Knott's Berry Farm, works with me. He's been there longer than I have, if you can believe that, folks. And I've been there 22 years. So he started when he was actually the guy who helped Walter cultivate the boysenberry back in '06. No, I'm kidding. I'm sitting here with a 29-year Knott's Berry Farm veteran, a voiceover actor. He's the voice on the phone when you call the farm. He does announcements. He does special events. He is a YouTube star. He is a YouTube voiceover actor. He is the star of his own radio show, which we'll get to at some point in the show. This is a jack of all trades, pardon the pun, jack of all trades, well known in the Halloween industry. Please welcome my good friend from Knott's Berry Farm, Kevin Horton, everybody.
Yay!
Welcome, Kevin.
And the crowd goes wild.
The crowd goes wild. So, 29 years, huh?
Yes. I realize that a lot of people that are employees there now weren't even born when I started there.
I know, right? Like, we do every Tuesday, we do the new employee welcome. And I'm not there Tuesday, but every once in a while, the things work out where I have to be there. And I always go, anybody under 22, raise your hand. And they raise their hand. And because, most employees are young. And I always go, every day of your life I've been at Knott's Berry Farm. Think about that. And they just get really wide-eyed. And you can do it even longer, almost 30 years.
It's just amazing. I realized when I started there, the Knott family would walk around and would talk with you. And that was something that was commonplace back then. No cell phones.
Yeah, no cell phones.
Hardly any internet. Internet was not even, maybe it was. But
well, people just talk to each other. Communication was a different
what a novel
animal
concept, Jeff.
Yeah, well, you have such a deep, resonating voice. Give us a taste of your voiceover work.
Hello, I'm the voice. I am Jeff Tucker. This is the 92nd reason to listen to the podcast.
Like if I call up Knott's Berry Farm and they put me on hold, what does it say? Do you know?
Thank you for holding. Your call is important to us.
That's it. You're the guy.
I put myself on hold sometimes. It's kind of a weird feeling.
That's got to be weird, right? That's like an Inception type thing.
It's like deja vu. I'm talking to myself.
It'd be like talking to the guy who like does the announcement on the Disneyland tram. Like you're aware, like as a theme park goer, you're aware that people, like real people, do these voices, and yet when you see somebody do a voice that you know really well and they do it for you in a live way, it's really bizarre.
And they never look like how they sound.
So what kind of voiceover work have you done?
I've done, well, as you said, I was on voice on the phone for over 22 years or more with Knott's Berry Farm. Then I've done a lot of YouTube cartoons. I'm the voice of a villain called General McCoy in a fan-based film for Ed's World, the movie. And I don't know why, but I seem to always get cast for Halloween events.
Well, you have a deep, sort of ominous voice. You must know that, right?
I do. I remember being 9 years old, 254 years ago, when I first walked into the Haunted Mansion and I heard Paul Frees do that ghost host voice.
Oh, sure.
And I knew at that point that was what I was going to do.
Who do you like better, the ghost host voice or the talking pirate skull that's, what's his name, Extensio?
I really like, I'm a ghost host person.
You're a ghost host?
Yes.
Do not pull down on the safety bar.
I will lower that for you.
I always like that because on that ride, it turns the mundane action of the safety bar coming down into, hey, the ghost is doing it. Isn't that brilliant? Like, I think that's great.
Didn't they say there was 999 happy haunts there, but they never figure out who the next one is?
Well, there's always room for 1,000, right? Any volunteers?
If you insist on lagging behind,
You may not need to volunteer.
a carriage approaches.
I'd love the Haunted. Is that your favorite ride of all time?
Yes, it is, and if I don't go on that ride, I am sad.
Yeah, well, that's the tough part. It's like, it's closed a lot because of that Haunted Mansion overlay. And I just wish for, like, I know that that's popular, but, like, maybe for 1 year, they just leave it alone. You know, they put the Hatbox Ghost in. They redid all of the attic scenes. Just let it play for a year. I mean, I'm a Nightmare Before Christmas fan, but I can do without it for a couple of years. I think it's been oversaturated.
And the way I thought they did without it for several years before that. So even though I like the overlay, I agree with you.
Yeah, it just seems like every time you go, it's closed. Oh, Jack and his friends are moving in, or Jack and his friends are moving in. Like, oh, maybe it's because I go at the same time every year.
And the way I think of it is, didn't they just move out? Because by the time they get the overlay in, they got to pull it out, and then it.
Right, it's a circle. It's just a cycle that they're in.
So you get to go the whole 2 months when the mansion's the same.
Yeah, right. It's funny too because we took Josie and she had never been on the regular mansion. So it was a treat for her to actually see the mansion the way it's supposed to be seen.
Did you know that there is one difference that I know between the two elevators?
No, I don't know.
Mark Davis did the drawings of the stretching portraits.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one difference that I know of. I don't know what the girl's name is when you go, but you look and she's on the tombstone.
Right.
In one elevator, she's got a ring on. In the other elevator, she doesn't have the ring.
You know, I'll have to watch for that. Although you can't do it now. You have to wait till what, like February?
Yeah, so go between March and April. You'll probably get it.
Right. There's a 30-day window there
Yeah.
when it's normal. That's really funny.
That tells you there's someone like me that goes out and spends all their time on that ride when you notice little details like that.
What's the best part of the ride?
I love the elevator scene.
Really?
I just love that elevator
Yeah.
scene.
See, I like the like the ballroom scene because it's just such a big, look at what we can do. As many ghosts as we can put in one scene.
I love the dancing ghosts.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I remember going on it as a kid, and this must have been summer 85 or 86. That was the only year they had a live guy in the ride as a suit of armor in the knocking hallway.
And he scared the bejesus out of people.
And you know what? It's the guy I work with. It's Tim Clega. That was his summer job. And I'm like, you were the greatest thing about the mansion. Now, they did it one other time. It was the first Mickey's Halloween treat in 93 or 94, where you could go to the park. It wasn't a special ticket item. It was just, they were open for Halloween. Rachel and I went, and they had not a suit of armor, but they had ghosts in the Haunted Mansion, live people, and they also had live pirates in the pirate ride.
That would have been awesome.
It was really cool. I wish I'd taken pictures, I love all that.
Speaking of the pirates, I'm a big fan of Paul Frees. My favorite part of the Pirates of the Caribbean was the cave that was between the waterfall and the pirate ship. Just when you could hear the voices.
Yeah, the echo voices, right? Is that it? That's gone now, right? Now it's Davy Jones, right?
And
that
fog curtain thing.
And isn't that interesting how you and I are talking? You're talking about like the elevator. Now the elevator in the Haunted Mansion is there because they have to get you onto the train tracks, right? Otherwise, you just because remember in the original it was just a walk-through attraction, and then as Walt's ideas got bigger and bigger, they have to put in an elevator. In the pirate ride, it's the waterfall, right? But when you talk about your favorite stuff, you're talking about transition stuff. The stuff that normally would just be a throwaway, they put all this thought into, and look at the impact that it makes.
True.
Like the little talking woman on the exit way out of the Haunted Mansion, just a throwaway. But more people remember her, hurry back, than anything that happened in the ride.
Do you know who that voice is?
No, I have no idea.
Anne Margaret.
Is it really? I had no idea.
Yep. When I read that, well, for my radio show, which we'll talk about that later, I got a chance to interview Fred Freeze, who was the son of Paul Freeze, and he gave me a full hour interview, which is now on YouTube. And what's the most interesting thing is he talks about all the intricacies that go into voice recording and what goes into that and all the work that goes into it to make it a seamless thing.
And what's interesting is you talk to people and the first thing they'll say is, I was thinking about going into that because I can talk really well. You're like, you have no idea because I don't do voiceover work, but I do hour-long podcasts by myself, which is really hard to do. I don't wish that on anybody because to be able to talk coherently for an hour, have it make sense, have your voice maintain the same tempo, and thank you, Austin. It wouldn't be a show without Austin throwing something around.
He has pretty good aim there.
Yes, but doing an hour-long show is very difficult. It's the same way, like, not anybody could have done what Mel Blanc did, or you remember Joe Alasky, or all of the other really good voiceover guys.
Dawes Butler.
What did they do?
Huckleberry Hound.
Okay, right. Or we just lost. Did you know who Marvin Kaplan was? Mm-hmm. He did one of the voices on Top Cat. He was also on Alice. I love all that old cartoon work. You ever seen that cartoon of Fred and Barney smoking cigarettes?
One time, and that amazed me. But back in that day, that was commonplace.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like Bon. Nothing relaxes me like a smooth Winston.
So I saw that. All I could think about was the big cigarette going up and down, going, that is just inappropriate, but so appropriate for that time.
Right. You know what, Fred? They're smoking cigarettes.
You know what, Fred?
And they're hiding out from Wilma and Betty.
How you doing, Fred?
I tell you, Bon, these Winston cigarettes are the best.
Gee, Fred, what do you think about smoking the stogie?
They're low in tar and they relax me.
Okay, whatever Wilma wants you to do, Fred.
Did you ever see that on The Simpsons when they did that?
Yes.
They had the guy go, I don't know what's in them. All I know is I can't stop smoking them. So, who's your favorite voiceover guy of all time? Is it Paul Frees?
Paul Frees, and then another one that many people know, but always have heard, but probably never knew, Jack Wagner.
Jack Wagner. Who is Jack Wagner?
The voice of Disneyland.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
He's the one that you hear on when the train station goes, your attention.
Oh, yeah. The Disneyland Railroad with trips to New Orleans Square.
And you talk about the geeky things. I can tell you back when I was 15 years old, which was, again, I think about 640 years ago.
Yeah. So, who was president?
Jackson.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's Jackson if you're nasty.
Andrew Jackson. Google it. I remember getting my first Disneyland annual pass when it was under $100. Like $60. And I would spend my time there, and there used to be actual phones in Frontierland. Yes, actual phones were in Frontierland. And I was in Disneyland, and I called Disneyland from the payphone.
Okay.
So they answered the phone, and they said, "I'd like to leave a message for Jack Wagner, please." And they said, "Please hold the line." So here I am, a 15-year-old kid. I get transferred to some unusual department. They transfer me to a phone line that starts ringing, and all of a sudden he goes, "Hello."
So you got him on the phone?
I did.
Oh, that's fantastic.
In Disneyland. Well, another one of his announcements is playing up there, and I'm like, "Hello, Mr. Wagner. I'd like to talk to you, please." And he goes, "Are you the flute player that's supposed to come to my house?" "No, sir, I'll be late."
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then, "I just called to say thank you for..." You feel like the biggest geek in the world. And so I get off the phone, and someone said, "Who'd you talk to?" "Jack Wagner." "Who's that?"
It'd take too long to tell you, right?
Yeah.
You know what's great though is you're talking to a guy like me where I idolized people who did special effects in movies. Like when I was growing up, my heroes were Dennis Muren, Phil Tippett, Nilos Rodas Jamero, like all the guys that were on the trading cards, building the models for Star Wars, building the puppets, Stuart Freeborn. And to me, it was like people would call me a geek or nerd. I go, no, this is just what I'm into. You're into sports, and I'm into pretending that these creatures and these spaceships are real. And I didn't ever see the difference in that. And there's no difference in idolizing a voiceover guy. It's just what we all got to have something to get through life.
I was
right?
the kid that was always, during my summers, spend my entire time in a non-air conditioned house. Imagine that. Using a tape recorder and just making up stories. And then just listening to it for hours on end.
Do you still have those tapes?
I do.
You got to digitize them.
They will. And then, yeah, that's a good, that would be a good YouTube thing, wouldn't it?
Sure. I haven't had a box of cassettes, and I bought one of those things that converts it to MP3, and I found gold on there. Like, I found Rachel's dad singing to her and her grandparents.
I don't know. I thought all kids did.
You know what I used to do?
My tapes too.
Everybody probably did this. I had one of those big boom boxes, right? My sister had one, and I would put a blank tape in there. I'd turn the radio on and let it play a song for a few seconds, and then I'd hit record and hit cassette and go, well, that was
Everybody did that.
that was Pat Benatar with "Love Is a Battlefield," and now
Billions
coming
of those tapes.
right, and I go like, you're listening to what was
Wait,
it,
I did better
the
than
Mighty
that.
690, right?
Because I would tape the TV show.
I used to call them to request. I love that station, by the way.
Yeah,
that's
me too.
The Mighty 690.
Oh, I love that station.
Yeah.
I would tape the Monkeys, the TV show, and then I would set and make it play at the same time. I'd ask a question, just be like they were answering, like I was interviewing the Monkeys. That was a lot of work. Hours on hours doing that.
To interview the Monkeys.
To interview the Monkeys.
And then if you made a mistake, you had to rewind to listen to the rewind again, to rewind to try.
You see, mine was easier because I would just cut back and forth between the radio and go, well, that was Huey Lewis in the news with "I Want a New Drug." And here's another song coming up on the Mighty 690. It was Delisota, Baja California, the Mighty 690. That's for those of you that didn't grow up in L.A., the Mighty 690 was this channel out of Baja California, which is like Mexico. It was
91X, right? I mean, 91X became the new version.
well,
of
it was, but see, when we listened to it, it was on the
also
AM dial.
San Diego, Mexico area.
We used to actually
And
listen.
for those of you that didn't know, that is the opposite of the FM dial.
Right, we used to listen, like it's mostly for talk now because AM could get nothing symphonic, nothing noise-wise that made sense, and Mighty 690 would play, the Go-Go's and Stray Cats, Devo, and it just was the great. I never called the station though. You called the station.
I did, and then they finally answered, and then I didn't know what to say because back then you used to live to win those tickets, and you'd live by the phone. And how many of you did you ever do that? And you speed dialed?
Oh yeah, no. What
button?
you do is when you know that when they know the DJ's getting ready to give away tickets, you dial all the numbers but the last one.
I
Yep.
did that.
And then as soon as he goes, caller now, you hit the button, right? And I swear to God, on some of those, he would go, caller 35 wins. I would call, and he'd go, 17, hang up. And I'd call right back, and he'd go, 22, hang up. And I go, I never, ever won a radio contest like that. I won tickets to see Morrissey, but I didn't call in. He called me. It was totally different. It was not the same thing. How about Rick Dees? You ever listen to Rick Dees?
I love Rick Dees. He was an inspiration to me.
Rick Dees in the morning. Won't you tell me what time it is?
Ooh.
Now tell us what the climate is.
Ooh.
And what was his prank thing called? Do you remember?
Candid phone.
You're on candid phone. He called some woman up and he goes, "We're here to tell you your son." And she's like, "What? Is he okay?" "Your son, ma'am, is a Homo sapien." "Oh my God, no!"
I remember that.
Remember
one.
that one?
The other
Oh
one,
my God!
It was one I liked where the guy said, "My friend has an expensive Camaro, and he just took it to Earl Scheib." He goes, "Oh, okay." And this was a classic one. So he goes, "We're gonna call him up," and you hear this little noise in the back. "Yeah, this is Ed. I'm painting your car. What kind of brush do you want me to use?"
What kind of brush?
"What the?" And they did have censorship back then.
Yeah, well, it's always been the 7-second delay. You have to on
And that
live
was
radio.
funny. All you heard was 3 words because everything else was a bunch of beeps.
With the one time, you remember Hollywood Hamilton?
Yes.
He was the nighttime DJ on Kiss FM, and I called him one time and I said, "Hey, I want you to play a song because my girlfriend broke up with me." And he goes, "Oh, what happened, dude?" I go, "Well, she told me to get lost." He goes, "And a song's gonna help?" I said, "Maybe you're right. Just play anything then."
How can a song help?
Do you remember KAZY?
Yes.
That was out of Orange County. That was the station I listened to. As my wife would say, they played a lot of white guy music. They played Huey Lewis, Steve Winwood, Foreigner, Journey,
Billy Joel,
Lou Graham,
Phil Collins. These are all Jeff's
Phil
guys.
Collins, The Police,
Yeah, that's Jeff for you in a nutshell right there.
Synchronicity.
Bruce Hornsby and The Range. These are all good stuff. Makes you want to listen to music right now.
That's all the stuff that ends up in the elevator music now.
Oh, I know. Well, the best part is that I'm so old now. All that music is what they play in the casino because they want to make it so that I don't leave. And they're like, "I can't leave. They're playing Huey Lewis."
How many times have you been in a casino and lost like $200 listening to a song?
Oh,
I love this song.
I couldn't do that. I play penny slots. I'd have a heart attack if I lost. I lose 18 and I've got sweaty palms. I am not Craig. Craig at work can lose and win big. I can't do it.
Craig at work hits every casino or the keno machine and goes, "Yeah, I just want," and I try and play that one. Nope.
No, Craig will come back from Laughlin and go, "I won 4,000." And I go, "Well, how much you put in?" "I don't want to." "Oh, you must have put in 6 to win 4. That's not good odds."
He always goes, "Oh, we won't talk about that."
Yeah, no, we won't talk about that. So, anyways, so yeah, we used to play DJ when I was a kid. Mighty 690, I loved all that.
How about the Mighty Met?
Oh, KMET.
KMET.
Oh, yeah. KMET 94.7. Tweedly.
Stickers.
Yeah, they invented that sticker with all the colors that went around. Remember that?
And KLOS.
KLOS.
Oh, KLOS is still around, but I remember when KMET went off the air and became the Wave. Remember that? And that was a real blow to music in this area because KMET was a vibrant station full of personality DJs who played what they wanted to play, and then overnight it went to new age saxophone, crap music, Kenny G, with no DJs, just crappy music.
I remember about 20 years ago, we had Arrow 93.1.
I remember Arrow, yeah.
Uncle Joe. Love Uncle Joe.
Arrow became Jack FM.
Like overnight.
Overnight. I remember stations just vanished. Well, KZY became a Christian rock station. And there was another station I used to listen to out of Orange County called KWIZ, which they would say quiz, and I would say, no, it's K-Wiz. But they played a lot of Huey Lewis as well.
Reminds you of Cheese Whiz, doesn't it?
Cheese Whiz. And then, of course, like everybody, like in my generation, I graduated from Kiss FM to K-Rock in the late 80s and listened to them up until, I grew up, I guess.
I really don't know what station I moved to. I listened to Kiss FM a lot of those years because I actually started my voiceover career when I was in 9th grade with Bruce Vidal on Kiss FM.
Bruce Vidal.
He did the boogie line.
What's the boogie line?
It was a joke line that you called at 8:30 in the evening, then he played it at 9:30. And so I just thought that's when you used a rotary dial phone. Yes, Google it, a rotary dial phone. You can't Google it because it goes.
Yeah. The worst thing about the rotary dial phone was getting to the last number and screwing up. You have to go, oh my God, I have to start over. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. You ever listen to the party line at Disneyland?
Yeah.
The 1800s one?
Yes.
I think that's great. Nobody even knows that's there. It's still in Starbucks, though. Remember that, Austin? The party line where you listen to the phone?
No.
At Disneyland? You have no idea what I'm talking about?
They had the most funky voices on there.
The only thing I remember was the do you remember the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show at DCA?
Yeah.
They had the Phone a Stranger on the
Phone a
pocket.
complete stranger. And they had phones set up all over the park.
They had like this big line of row phones in Paradise Pier. It was like 6 phones in a row, and people would just keep waiting. And I mean, I used to go with Laura and Steve, who would wait for the millionaire phone, hoping
it would ring, right?
Hoping it would ring. People would wait all by these phones. I miss that.
You missed that crappy show.
Well, it was just so much fun. It's like there was a game show at the park, a real game show.
And you could win prizes,
and you could
yeah.
win, and you don't even have to be part of the show. You could just randomly answer the phone in another side of the park.
All right, let's do it. You ready?
All right.
All right. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, this is Jeff over at the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show. Who's this?
This is Austin.
All right, Austin, it's Phone a Complete Stranger. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The question is, what U.S. president appeared on the 60s television show Laugh-In?
Oh.
Is it Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, or Ronald Reagan?
I'm going to go with Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
I'm going to disagree because I know you're wrong. The answer is A, Richard Nixon.
But that was the obvious choice. Why do you make that question so easy?
That was the real $1 million question on the first guy that won.
Was it really?
Yes.
Who wouldn't guess Nixon?
Well, if you don't know, you don't know. It was the $1 million. He used his phone a friend to call his dad. And when his dad answered, he said, "Hey, Dad, I don't have a question for you. I just want to let you know I'm about to win $1 million." And he said, "A, Nixon." And the guy won.
That's actually brilliant.
Yeah.
That's great.
You know what one time we tuned in and the $500,000 question was, what planet is Luke Skywalker from?
Oh, no.
That was hard to watch. I was like, oh, God, I know that's like the back of my hand. What's the answer?
Tatooine.
Oh, thank you. Right, just check
No, it's Dantooine.
Just check it. So, what's your favorite era for Disneyland?
I really loved the 35th anniversary year.
So that was 90, right?
That was 85.
Oh, 30th year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember the 30th year.
That's when they had the Dream Machine.
Yeah, everybody through the gate got a prize of some sort, right?
Whether it was a slap in the back by the turnstile hitting you or...
A lot of people won cars.
Something. They were giving away, cars all the time.
It was every 30th, 300th, and 3,000th person would win a prize through there. Yeah, man, I used to... God... Rachel's still obsessed with Disneyland and DCA. I think it's fun. I'm not obsessed with it anymore.
I'm not obsessed. Knott's will always be my home. Will always be number one. But I love Disney. I'm a Southern California girl. I grew up with all these theme parks. So
I did too.
I love them all. So, but yes, our pass has just expired.
Right,
so
but
it makes me very sad.
the park's just not the same anymore the way it used to be.
It's not.
Well, no, it's not the same. But
there's so many crappy rides. That Buzz Lightyear Blasters ride is so dumb.
Everything.
They take out stuff. They
Not
put that
about
stupid
the ride.
rocket
It's
rod.
the feeling you get when you're at Disneyland.
I
The
love
atmosphere, the food.
I love
the smell.
Disneyland. I'm not saying I don't love it.
Childhood.
I'm just saying that if it was my park, dagnabbit, there'd be some changes.
Oh,
Well,
right.
I think the issue
Get
is
off my lawn.
they don't really embrace original ideas like they used to. As a matter of fact, like the only modern original Disneyland I can think of is Mystery Manor, and that's in Tokyo Sea.
Do you know they haven't put in an e-ticket attraction since Indiana Jones in 1995?
And that's
I
been
believe that.
21 years.
21 years, and Disneyland has not had an e-ticket attraction. They have only had smaller attractions.
I believe that.
That's unbelievable.
They haven't. It's been so slow. They haven't.
Well,
done
all that's
anything.
going to change with Star Wars. It really is. I know that.
But do we really want it to change for that? Is that the reason we want it to change? 'Cause
I
I think they could go a different route that'd be much better.
Change is change, man. What are you going to do?
Hey, just keep it the way it is and make it clear.
He won't go on Pirates of the Caribbean. He's missing out.
I respect that.
He's missing out.
I can't take the drop. Here's my thing on Disneyland. There's definitely something wrong with the park when I say the best thing I can do at Disneyland is sit down with a Starbucks peppermint mocha, which I can get anywhere.
You're like an old man. I like to sit and watch the people.
Get off my lawn and get me your Starbucks.
Yeah. I want a peppermint mocha and a chair.
Put that whipped cream on it, too.
You like whipped cream on it?
Oh, I love the whipped cream.
You're so weird.
You could stand outside of Starbucks and go, yep, it took us 2 minutes early to get here today.
I'm shaking my head. You can't see it. I'm shaking my head at Austin.
Who doesn't love Starbucks at Disneyland?
I do. I thought that's one of the best things they've done is put the Starbucks in.
Oh, I got a great question for both of you.
Okay.
What's your favorite dessert at Disneyland, discontinued or current, like they've ever had at the park?
I'll refer to Kevin first.
Favorite dessert? Well, favorite or current? I love the hot fudge with the 2 cookies at the ice cream shop in Main Street.
Oh, see, I've never had ice cream there. My daughter and wife get it, so I can't afford a third item there. They used to have the Mile High Cake at the Golden Horseshoe. That was the best because it would feed me and all the kids and with leftovers. But I know I like dark chocolate honeycomb from the candy store. Oh my God, is that good?
You mentioned the Golden Horseshoe. I have a funny story there.
What's that?
I seem to always end up with these funny stories. Well, so we went there once, a friend of mine and I, and it was one of those winter days, and so we went in to see the Golden Horseshoe. And the person they used to have those box seats right by the stage.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah. So we sat there, and it felt so odd because it was a huge table. There were just 2 of us there, and I thought to myself, we're going to be a target. So we sat there, and Wally Bogue,
The legendary
Wally Bogue. I'm into voices, so he was one of the voices of one of the birds in Chinatiki Room.
He's Jose.
Yeah. So he's doing the show, and all of a sudden he looks at us, walks over, and I knew it. There's a point with a performer when they lock eyes with you when you
you're done for.
And he walks over and he goes, "Girls didn't show up, huh?" And it was everybody heard it, and we had to laugh too. But that was the one time. And then he just hit the table and he goes, "Couldn't resist."
What year was that?
Oh, I don't know. Probably when. Well, first of all, I can't remember when the Golden Horseshoe ended.
I want to say 87 or 88.
It was about 86.
Yeah, so somewhere in there.
But people today...
God, you remember when the Horseshoe, when Wally Bogue was performing, you couldn't get in there. You had to go when the park opened and make a reservation.
You were lucky to get in there.
Yes. My family and I don't think I ever got to see that because my mother was never skilled enough to get there at opening and run and get the reservation. Now you just walk in and sit down and all that. But back in the day, man, you needed a reservation or you didn't get in. That's how popular Wally Bogue and company was. I mean, talk about a legend.
And then back in 92 when they debuted Fantasmic, you would almost spend all day, somebody would have to stake a spot.
Yeah.
Or I remember the original Electrical Parade, and I still get goosebumps when I hear that original electric fanfare.
Yeah. The Baroque Hoedown?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whatever it goes.
Still love that theme song.
Well, you and I are nearly the same age. So the not the Golden Horseshoe, the Main Street Electrical Parade was a rite of passage.
It was.
It was a summer ritual. You went every year during the summer, at least once, to see
the parade.
Yeah, and it was like part of being an American. When that flag came down at the end, everybody stood up a little taller and saluted. I know nowadays everything is throwaway. Nobody cares. People don't stand for the anthem. They don't put their hand on their heart. Yada, yada, yada. But back in the day, when that salute to America came down the street, everybody paid their respect. And we're not talking about the real flag. It's a bunch of lights. But it was what it represented. It represented not only the country, but, like I said, the rite of passage of Southern California kids. I mean, I went to Disneyland so many times as a kid that when people asked me what my favorite ride was, I didn't mention Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean. I mentioned Tom Sawyer's Island because my mother would take me over there, read a book, and I would spend 3 or 4 hours on the island.
You could.
Oh, it was the great Punch Bowl Rock, Teeter Totter Rock, Injun Joe's Cave, you name it.
And I liked a ride that was right near there called Rainbow Caverns.
Rainbow Caverns.
Nature's Wonderland.
Nature's Wonderland, yeah.
It scared me to death when I was a kid because I was afraid of the dark and those.
You know, it's funny you say that because I went on it when I was 4 or 5. And then a couple years later, when I went back to the park, of course, it was gone, removed to make way for Big Thunder. But I just remember talking to somebody like, there's a ride where a bear is eating a fish and you're on a train. And people go, I have no idea what you're talking about, kid. It would take years until I was like, talk to somebody else. It was the Rainbow Cavern ride or the Mike Feet Keel boats. Those were so much fun. Remember when the cabin was on fire?
And that, politically incorrect as it was awesome.
Yeah, but life is politically incorrect. So
it is.
I'm sorry, you can't please everybody. And sometimes you have to please the masses and not cater to the 5 or 6 people that have got their noses been out of shape. Sorry about that.
I was just recently watching a YouTube video of Rodney Dangerfield. And he was on with Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
And just about the amazing way that comedians back then, I love watching Johnny Carson. You just never knew what was going to happen because Johnny could lose it and couldn't stop laughing. That was one time where Rodney Dangerfield just fired off one thing after another, and Johnny could not get a word in edgewise.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
Well, you and I grew up on Rodney Dangerfield, George Carlin, Richard Pryor. They're all politically incorrect. That's what made them funny. Eddie Murphy. A lot of comedians don't even go to colleges anymore because everybody records it with their phone and then gets upset. Once the laughter dies, they get upset.
And then rest in peace, Gene Wilder.
Oh, well. I'm gearing up for a show about Mr. Wilder, and that's going to be very difficult.
I remember the first time that I watched Young Frankenstein. I could not stop laughing at the scene with the bookcase.
Oh, and put the candle back. Oh, my God.
When it just slammed against it, goes, put the candle back.
Oh, I love Young
and how she could keep the accent.
Yeah.
Having the same thing happen.
When she goes, no, my favorite is when he goes, don't open this door. Whatever I say, whatever I do, if you open this door, you'll undo all the work I have done. And the monster growls. He goes, let me out, open the door. Can't you take a joke? That's my favorite, because Wilder's at his best when he's unhinged,
And people have asked me, which Willy Wonka do I like better?
Oh, come on. That's not even a question.
And I was thinking about that coming over it. I think it's a let's see if I can, sure I can voice it. Generational. It's a generational answer.
Yeah, but see, I don't know because my kids obviously are different because they've grown up with me. But I don't know anybody that likes that second movie. It's just so twisted and dark. And the whole bit about the Oompa Loompas, they really are portrayed as slaves in the second one.
Yes.
Because they show them like in their habitat in Africa in Oompa Loompa land, and he's like buying them. Like I don't know what they were thinking other than cash grab. I don't understand.
I I am impressed by something that movie did, though. There is one actor that does something that is pretty impressive. Christopher Lee not only managed a way, he squeezed his way into the movie, but a way to play a villain in it, like he always does.
A villain in a
Christopher
Wonka
Lee
movie.
was awesome.
Yeah, no, Christopher Lee can do no wrong. That's true. You should watch Gremlins 2.
The new bats?
Yeah, because he actually has fun in that movie. It's nice to see
wow.
Christopher Lee having a good time. You know, you're still terrified of him. You know, but he is having a good time.
But then you see him in the Lord of the Rings trilogy as
He's Saruman.
just that. I always go back to the voice, but that voice when he's talking.
Oh, it's booming, man. How do you become a voiceover actor?
What I've learned, well, you talk about how people used to say, I want to, I should.
Yeah. But wanting to and shoulding is different than doing.
There's a point that I came in my life where I was working or doing something, and someone came up to me and she said, so when are you going to take the I shoulda, couldas to when you're going to actually try it? And she held me to that. And
Sometimes you need that in your life.
where you go, quit, just, hit the accelerator. Don't always hit the brake or keep going. And so I invested in actual training.
Yeah.
Went to the school.
It does take training.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
You think it's easy.
No. A voice is like an instrument, and it has to be honed. It has to be taught. Oh, I totally get that. I once took a commercial acting class, which I thought would be ridiculous, and I learned so much about how commercials are made.
You know what acting class teaches you a lot? Improv.
Sure. Well, I've done 30 years of improv, absolutely. More than 30 years.
It is one of the... I'm friends with, and I'll throw this out there, I'm friends with Wendy McClendon-Covey.
Who plays the mom on
Goldberg.
The Goldbergs, Beverly Goldberg.
Hello, Beverly.
She's the our hero around this house.
Yes, she is. I live through her. I mother through her. She teaches me all that I do. I look for advice. How she would do it.
She did one of the most amazing things for me. Just recently at the Forum, they had a 80s flashback concert where it was all the bands I love. It was Culture Club, Billy Idol, all in one place. And so I knew she was there, so I just contacted her. And then she did something that I wouldn't believe. She was out there in the middle of the audience, and then she calls me out.
Yeah.
She goes, I went to school with Kevin Horton. Where are you?
Wow.
And stood up like that, and then she went into Beverly Goldberg voice, and I forget what she would say, like, I love you.
Yeah.
But just...
She goes, come here, my little snuggle monster.
That's it.
The Goldbergs...
We love you, Wendy.
Not to digress into the Goldbergs, but when the Goldbergs first started, I was a little wary because of the bleeped cursing. I wasn't sure how they were going to handle that. And I also wasn't sure how they were going to handle the 80s setting. But I'll be darned if that show's not brilliantly constructed. Because they use the term 1980 something. It allows them to do whatever they want.
It's...
You know what it is? You're not watching a documentary. You're watching somebody's recollections. And sometimes our recollections collide with other recollections and years get smashed together. And the Goldbergs is great about that, because what could have been a one-trick pony about the 80s is actually one of the finest sitcoms ever made, because you can tell the Goldbergs love each other. And that's so rare on a sitcom, because usually it's just, joke, mean-spirited, barb, and cut to commercial. And instead, most of the this is terrible to say, most of the Goldbergs episodes make me cry. When they kick in music at the end, they always pick the best song to end the show on. When Murray and Beverly renewed their vows, or the Double Dare episode where it was revealed that the people that were on the show were the ones that were on the show. And then the other thing is looking in the background at all of Adam Goldberg's toys, the USS Flag, Castle Grayskull, GoBots, Transformers. We sit down as a family to watch the Goldbergs.
Because there's so many references.
Yeah, it's references, but it's also, again, they love each... Beverly wants Erica to go to college in state. That's a problem a lot of families have when the kids want to stretch their wings and get out, but they want to keep them there. And I think everybody on the show is perfectly cast. It's such a great show.
And I like also the one episode I saw was Beverly Goldberg just driving that station wagon.
I know, right?
Whatever.
My mother had the same exact car. I used to ride in the back facing out to every theme park, picnic, baseball game, you name it, right?
Without a seatbelt.
Oh, yeah, who needed a seatbelt?
With the window open.
And look, I'm not dead.
And you'd be going 60 miles an hour on the freeway, and you're waving at everybody.
Well, you and I used to ride in the back of trucks. Remember those days?
Okay, yes, I did.
We rode in the back of a flatbed truck, a pickup truck, with no seatbelts. We didn't die. People today are way too bubble wrapped. You don't need all that crap in your life. You know, that's why this show is so steeped in looking back, because the today part of the world terrifies me. Because it's meant to. The news is meant to terrify you every second of the day. You know, Zika's gonna get you. There's a what did it say today? Some kid in a school in California's got leprosy, for God's sake, right? But you journey back in time, and life was better. I hate to say the rose-colored glasses thing, but it was. Life was totally different, you know? Listen to the radio, no cell phones, no Facebook, no Twitter, no nothing.
Back in our day,
back in my day, we had one television show. It was called Stare at the Sun, and we liked it.
And the exercise was, son, can you get up and turn the channel for me?
That's right.
And then you had the remote control that actually opened your garage.
Yeah. The big giant one?
Big giant ones.
Yeah.
How come it's not turning in your car? That's open. Your garage goes back and goes.
It's behind you going, and you're like, what's going on? I actually had a Betamax VCR. The remote was corded. It only went out about 6 feet. Yeah, oh my God. And then I had a thing that you plugged it into the wall, and then you plugged the TV into the wall, and you could turn it off and on. You couldn't change the channel or anything, but I could put it on a station that I liked, get in bed, and then right before I went to sleep, turn it off. I thought that was the greatest thing ever.
Now, did you like Atari, or did you like Intellivision?
No, I was an Atari kid. I've tried to play Intellivision even later in life. I still don't understand the controls. Atari was I loved Atari. Yar's Revenge, the greatest game ever.
Kaboom.
I love Kaboom with the paddle.
I love
where
that.
You had to catch the bombs. I was just telling the kids.
It was violent, but it was fun.
Kaboom was a good game.
Missile Command.
Missile Command, Circus, Combat, Adventure.
Warlords.
Oh, great games. Great games.
Pitfall.
Pitfall was great. It lasted half an hour. And then my friend Chris Wright was the first in our group to get a ColecoVision. And that was a big deal because ColecoVision had branded games like Cabbage Patch Kids and stuff. And somehow that was important. That's all Austin plays nowadays is vintage video games.
They made them better back then. They really did.
They made them better, right?
And even the games that I refer to as modern classics or GameCube or N64.
You know why I think the games back then were better? It's going to sound weird. Because they weren't meant to be played for 3 hours. You play for a few minutes, and then you go back to doing whatever you're supposed to be doing. The games today are like, look, we're not done here. You need to sit down, talk to your friends, fly to another planet.
I think what really made them appealing is the fact that they're evergreen games. You could own them for 4 years, and they're never going to die out.
Well, you had me playing Elevator Action the other day. Yesterday.
They don't get outdated. It's not just a game you play through. It's got strategy to it. If you want to get really good at it, you can practice and get really good, but you could also take a really casual route with it and play it casually.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
that's why we like
one of the other.
That's why we like the Arcade Expo.
Yeah,
you should go to the Arcade Expo.
I watched it. Yeah.
So what's coming up for you in the voiceover world? And tell us about your alter ego.
Well, when I got trained with the voiceover, when I started getting in front of the mic, the first time I got in front of the mic, the instructor pulled me aside and he says, "Okay, I want to tell you something." I said, "Either yes, either I'm terrible. Goodbye. Don't ever come back." And all he said was, "You have the pipes for doing this."
That's good to hear,
and
right?
And he said, "Stick with it, and we can show you the basics. believe it or not, there are basics to that. When you hear somebody do this big thing that sounds great, you realize there's probably 3-4 hours or something of going back and recording.
Oh, I know. I did an audio book one time, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever done because it never seemed to end.
I tried to do that, and then I gave up in the middle. Don't remember that, but
I read the whole book, man. It was tough. By the end, I was like, I don't want to read anymore.
there's people I know that they make a lot of money on audiobooks, and it is really interesting to hear about that. But I remember I took a class. I learned the most from one class that I didn't think I was going to learn a lot from. Ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You look and go...
You take a whole roster and everything that you need is in one class.
I have no interest in that class, and I took it. And you know what it was? Sportscasting.
Sportscasting.
Something that let's put myself in front of a football so I talk about a game that I really don't know anything about. And that's exactly what he did. He was Alan Gibby, who was a producer for ESPN. He goes, I want to put you, and he pointed me out. I go, first class, great. Come up here, I want you to commentate a football game. I don't know the first thing about football. I just made stuff up.
You just went with it.
And he was laughing so hard. I was like, they dropped the ball. Who's got the ball now? And he recorded it, took it home, made it sound, edited it all together so the guy had the ABC announcement, and then played it the next week. And then at the end of that course, he said one thing that changed my thought pattern, which was, find your niche.
Yeah.
Find your niche, and then at that time he says, get your voice on YouTube. Whatever you can do.
And that's what you did.
Get your voice on YouTube.
You're the guy who opens the Fright Zone.
Welcome to the Fright Zone.
There you go.
Yes. So how did you do that? You met up with friends and said, I would just say, do you need voiceover? That's what I sound like. Hi, do you need voiceover? And it would get me onto projects.
Well, yeah, because you learn quickly doing a podcast or a YouTube video stuff that it's got to have an opening. And it really shouldn't be the person doing it. You need to have an outsider so that it just gives it a more layered feel to it, you know. I pay for mine off of Fiverr. The guy does that. You're listening to 91 Reasons. I can't even do it.
With the voice, Jeff. Talking.
Yeah, I can't even do it the way he does it.
And so I went to conventions like Scare LA, and I started to see that there was a whole industry.
Oh yeah, there's a whole thing now, which is great, of audio adventures, which, oh my God, we're back to the old days of radio, where people will tune in. Like, my kids were riveted to Night Vale and Thrilling Adventure Hour, that sort of thing.
My favorite, Inner Sanctum.
Inner Sanctum.
Scared the living daylights out of me, but I listened to it. Yeah.
And these they've evolved into their own franchises with no visual form, just audio.
Yeah, no, just audio.
I actually fell behind on Nightville now because it's 3 shows with weekly episodes going on at once.
You gotta get hip, man.
Well, there's something about the radio is because you don't have any visual, you don't have any, all you have is the audio.
Yeah, it's back in the old days.
War of the Worlds.
So you also do a radio show.
Oh, yes, I do.
Tell us about your radio show, because it's great.
That came out of also Scare LA, and I have somebody that wants to visit with you a little bit later, but he's been outside sort of 6 feet under. I don't know why he's there.
We'll dig him up.
Oh, yeah. He digs a lot of things. And so I went to Scare LA, and I did some live announcing for them for 1 or 2 years, and so I learned all about the haunt industry. And this person contacted me, or we met up, and I said, again, I sound like Bullwinkle. Say, do you need voiceover? And he said, sure. So I did a small voiceover for him, and I listened to his show, and it was the most unusual looking show, and I thought to myself, and he knows this, so it won't be anything new. I go, I'm not sure if I like this show, but then 3 hours later, I'm still listening to the same show.
Right.
And I go, okay, well, I guess And he contacted me again. He goes, can you do more voiceover for me? So all I did was station identification, and it was Darkest Radio.
Darkest Radio.
Welcome to Darkest Radio. And then he kept saying, well, you're getting more and more popular. You're getting more and more popular. Then all of a sudden he said, okay, I've asked you too much. He goes, now we need to create a character for you. So here I am. I'm in my room, just like we are here. And you would always think I'm like a little kid. I'm the only one listening to this. Now I realize, oh my goodness, there's other people that want to listen to me do this thing. So what do? The character I created came out of how I sounded. So the character is a outward representation of me, and it's a strange way of creating. Maybe you've created something like that before, where you have an idea that is working, then you build the show around it.
Well, sure. I mean, the voices that I do on the show came totally by accident, because I would talk about Don Berg, and then I would slip into Don Berg, and then the second episode, out of nowhere, I just started interviewing Don. So it's me talking to me, and that's very strange.
So he said, I need a co-host. And we came up with a character that had a very interesting 70s reference. And you'll get it. It's he said, I want to create a show that's based upon Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon.
That's right, the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Yeah. And Ed McMahon, you know Johnny's famous response to Ed McMahon, ones that still gets me laughing?
Which one?
Johnny Carson goes, for a man that always lived his life on a bar stool, you sure know a lot.
I like when he goes, he's the great Karnak.
I love those.
May a big Genghis camel sit in your couscous.
And just the look that Johnny Carson would give him when Ed McMahon would laugh, he would just...
Yeah.
And he'd
go, I held in my hand the last envelope. The last envelope, yes.
So that my co-host said, I want to create a gothic version of Ed McMahon.
Okay.
And they go, Ed McMahon, Dead McMain.
What's his name?
Dead McMain.
Dead McMain.
So people, once I tell them the name of the character,
they get it.
Sure. And they start laughing. I go, wait. And I said to myself, wait, why are they laughing?
Well, they get the reference.
Then I realized he wants to create a character that is super scary looking on the outside, but says childlike things on the inside.
The most interesting part of the show, because I've listened to it, is you guys don't break.
No.
It's not like you come back and go, well, that was a lot of fun. It's all played for the truth, and that's fantastic.
We love improv, and believe me, we have made ourselves laugh so many times. There's one little clip that we did, and we came up with an idea during our Christmas show. He says, what do you want to do? And there's a character in there named Death Rock Joey, that we have come up with the idea that the two characters don't like each other for some odd reason. They like it when two characters go up against each other. He said, so what do you want to do? And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if Dead McMain read the story of The Grinch Stole Christmas to Death Rock Joey? And all you need to do is put periods in the story where there isn't normally periods, and it would completely change the meaning of the sentence without taking away from Dr. Seuss.
Nice. Okay.
So we did it, and we had to do it all in one take.
That must have been murder.
For him it was, because I was saying so many things on improv, and he told me later, he goes, you make it so hard for me to stay in character because I'm trying not to laugh.
That's when it's fun, though.
And then...
That's like the old Carol Burnett show.
Oh, and I love that show. But The Grinch, and it's one of our most famous clips now, and then just... I wanted to do it where you stay true to the story because it's Christmas. You don't want to mess with it.
Right.
But you just put the periods differently.
You just mess with it a little.
Have a little bit of fun with it. And then the character, his humor is very dry.
Yeah. This is Dead McMain.
Hello, feeds and ghouls.
Oh, he's here.
That's what he sounded like when he talks like that. And, of course, Jeff Tucker, the 91 Reasons. Am I the 93rd or the 94th? Who's the 95th, Jeff?
That's great. That's gothic.
Well, of course, I do have a very interesting look to me, don't I? Bony Maroney?
Boney Maroney?
Yes.
And a big top hat?
Oh, well, yes, that does go with everything. Being 6 feet under, you have to have something to busy your time.
Yeah, but a guy as tall as you are, Dead McMain, doesn't need a top hat because you're like 8 feet tall now.
That is true. It's a little hard to get in this house. You have to bend over, and it does do a number on your back.
So Halloween's coming. This is your favorite time of the year.
Yes, it is. In fact, we're going to be relaunching Darkest Radio very, very soon. And I wanted to say some things about that because your program is on our network.
I know, right? I don't think people know that. You guys take the episodes and rerun them.
We do, and the one thing I like to do when I was listening to your program, when I was laying in my casket, you do know I have a tri-level coffin.
Hey, naturally.
Tri-level coffin, with television, VCR, and a new thing called internet, but I really don't know how to connect because I'm 6 feet under.
Nice.
But as we do that thing, you see, I start talking and people start laughing, and I realize, what is it about it? And I realize that my character comes out of just a deadpan humor.
Deadpan.
And I remember being in this character going to Monsterpalooza once, and I stood out there and a 5-year-old child came up to me, messed with my pant leg a little bit, and I looked down and he said, "My mom and dad are freaked out by you, but I want to take a picture with you." So I knelt down to his level and I said, "Are you a cool kid?" He says, "What does that mean?" I says, "Do you honor your parents? Do you say hello to them? Do you give them respect? Because I only take pictures with cool kids." And as I was talking to the parents, to the child, the mom had inched up and was listening to that. Then she told me later, she goes, "You scared the you-know-what out of me, but you made me cry because no one had ever talked to my child like that, and my child left encouraged." And I realized I created this character to encourage people. But it came out of a frightening mass, created a voice, and now I realize you got a character that can be completely crazy.
But isn't that the hallmark of all of the great monsters? Frankenstein's a good guy, the monster. The creature's a good guy. He's beset upon by the villagers. He really does like the little girl, Dracula's, he's just got to eat,
He does. And I'm back in my regular voice now because when I create Dead McMain or do the voice, all it really is just go into the different register.
The different register.
And I remember doing you remember Masters of the Universe?
Sure.
And I did one of those little voiceover things, and the guy said, "You wouldn't survive in that because you go in to do all of the Skeletor, and you go full bore into it, then realize you don't have a voice the next day." And he said, "If you were paid for a contract for that, you would be out of the contract."
Oh, right. Yeah, no, you got to... That's the other thing about doing voiceover work. It's easy to come up with some big, booming character voice, but if you can't sustain it, you're out.
You're out. And that's when they told me, stay within your natural range. So you're learning, what is your natural range? And the person came up to me and said, "You need to do a voiceover for Halloween." And I realized since I was 5 years old, I frightened my mom every Halloween. Come on, hello. Then she would say, "Don't say that again. Don't say hello." Or
what kind of reaction do you get on the phone when people talk to you?
I've had one person say to me, "Well, you've answered my question about 20 minutes ago. I just like to hear you talk."
Are you serious?
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Oh, that's great.
She kept asking questions. She goes, "I just like to hear you talk."
The silky smooth sounds of Kevin Horton.
Hello.
You ever do some new age? Do a new age disc jockey. Those guys. "Hey, cool cats, welcome."
"Hey, cool cats, welcome to 91 Reasons." We're sitting in kind of the coolest house in anywhere USA.
"Hey, man, get your cappuccinos. Pull up a stool. We got some smooth poetry stylings of Austin, Indiana."
Oh.
He's going to tell us all about the trials and tribulations of high school.
"Hello, everybody. This is Groovy Dad. I wanted to tell you also that we have Frederick Flintstone here."
Are you doing the Great Garloo?
I love that. Frederick Flintstone with the bongos. We're going to be playing that, man.
Hello, dum-dums. Remember the Great Garloo? I love all that stuff.
Or how about
man.
the one, "Hello, Frederick." The sales clerk, the short one.
Yes, Mr. Cardo.
Well, you're gonna fit into that one or not?
So, how can people access and be entertained by the darkest hours?
Well, or as Dead would say,
Well,
you can follow us on www.darkestjack.com.
darkestjack.com.
And pretty soon we will be going into the digital morgue with my own music app called Dead Zap.
Dead Zap.
Yes.
So you have your own app coming.
Oh, yes.
That's pretty cool.
For
I don't have an app.
For Android and iPhone, which means we will also get to broadcast whatever show is on the internet will also be available on the app.
On the app. And do you do it live? You can listen live, or do you have archives? How does it work?
Well, our minions are working on that part of it, but I would like to have it where it be accessible like as an archive or
It's tough to
live.
find storage. You have to pay for it.
But we also found that there is a whole new audience for the app, and taking it into the digital world is something where we want to go, because we do have our television show, which is Darkest Hours, on Creepy Castle Television. That's 2 Ks.
Creepy Castle Television with K's.
On Sunday nights at 9 and 9:30 or 6 and 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. Darkest Hours is on there, and we're one of the most popular television shows.
And what do people see? They see you in full costume?
Full costume, and we poke fun at each other.
Oh, that's great.
And so it's a Johnny Carson type of thing.
I just love that technology has given a voice and a program to anybody who has the fortitude to make it happen. Used to be public access. You had to go down, make an appointment, book the studio time. This is like right now we're in my living room. This show will go worldwide in a week or so, right from my living room. So you guys have found an outlet for your creativity, to put it on the net, to make it accessible, and that's what makes the world go round, man. You can't just work all day. You got to come up with something to make it worthwhile.
What do you like about the show as a listener, or that you've listened to?
Oh, the terrible jokes, the puns. That's the best. I'm a huge fan of that kind of comedy. Are you kidding? You know? A tri-level casket with the... I don't have the internet yet? It's the visual picture.
Tri-level casket, and the other thing is I have 640 Bose speakers in my coffin.
In the coffin. In the casket.
And I always like to think of things that are almost impossible. And then we're coming up with shows where there'll be Dead McMain and Death Rock Joey, and they'll be going on adventures together, and we can... Just the visual, when Jack and I sit down together, just think of these shows, and we're laughing. If we're laughing, we're just laughing.
Your bony butts off.
Well, that's true. Some of us want to have more bony butts than we actually do right now. But it's...
So plug it again. It's darkestjack.com, and then Creepy Castle TV. That's KreepyKastle, Creepy Castle TV. And they can check it. And there's an app coming even.
There's an app, and then also there'll be... Jack will forgive me because I forgot one major thing, but not Periscope, but something of that where it's a social media.
Yeah.
We're going to have someone working with a social media, so we will be on Facebook. You can
broadcast live.
Say, 2 twits on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then, so all over, and then you just never know what will happen. And the fun thing about it is you realize that the character you created just for fun is all of a sudden taking on an image, a likeness of himself.
That's what it's all about. I mean, with me, when I put the Berg stuff together, it was the hell that I lived. So meeting people and having them repeat 6 squares and squeeze those lemons, I mean, that's fun. Because that's taking stuff that was terrible in my childhood and making it not only palatable, but desirable. I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
The other part that is fun, too, is the music part of it. Because Jack, to me, is a mastermind of music. There's genres of music that I was not really aware of, but being put into a character, like I learned about it.
Yeah.
And Rob Zombie. And
You're along for the ride.
Rob Zombie and The Cure and Depeche Mode. And
Yeah.
I have a show unto myself that they gave me on Tuesday nights called Dead's Oldies and Moldies.
Oldies and Moldies.
Which is, I think it may refer to the person hosting the show.
Not the music.
But I think so.
What about Wolfman Jack? You like Wolfman Jack?
Love Wolfman Jack.
You got the Wolfman here.
All right. And just, he said you can play whatever you want. So on that show I play 80s.
It's freedom.
And 80s. And 80s. And The Cure.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. My guest has been Kevin Horton, who you can check out. He's the voice of The Phone and Knott's Berry Farm. A 29-year farm veteran. 29 years, folks.
I started when I was 4.
You can check him out on darkestjack.com, where his alter ego, Dead McMain, hangs out with... What's the main guys? I don't want to get it wrong.
He hangs out with everybody that can hang out with.
And who's the main host?
Darkest Jack.
Darkest Jack. Well, you were calling him something else.
Well, you know, I'm a skull, so I don't remember.
Oh, okay. But check out all that stuff. It's great. It's the Halloween season, man. We're kicking it off early. It's never too early, as my wife says, for Halloween.
Yeah.
She's already dragging me to the Halloween club twice.
You know, I was just thinking we didn't go to Spirit. It probably opened today.
Spirit has nothing we need.
No, there's a brand new one across the street, directly across the street from Knott's Berry Farm on Beach Boulevard.
There is
a Spirit.
Yes.
A Spirit store.
Yes.
A Spirit store.
Yes.
What are you going to be for Halloween, Rachel?
Well, I wanted to be a Ghostbuster, but somebody didn't buy me the uniform at Comic-Con.
Ha! Girls can't be Ghostbusters.
Yes, they can. So I'm debating now. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
Listen, folks. I tried to buy her a Ghostbusters costume the other day.
I think I'm going to do a classic Cleopatra for the Magic Castle this year.
You know, like Cleopatra said, "Not now. I'm on my pyramid." Wow. Austin, what are you going to be for Halloween?
I'm not sure. Probably just going to reuse my Link costume.
Okay. What were you saying, Kevin? Sorry, I've interrupted you twice now.
I was going to ask you, have you ever been to the seance that they have at the Magic Castle?
No, I've never been. The Houdini seance,
Yeah.
I've actually never been. It's an upcharge, and I'm notoriously cheap.
This is true.
I'm notoriously cheap. So I don't even pay the cover to get
We don't
in.
even eat there. We usually get like in and out on the way to.
Well, there's a
Magic
Chick-fil-A.
That's my kind of food.
Chick-fil-A.
There's a Chick-fil-A around the corner. We'll get Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out, and then we go to the castle, and then we have enough to get a drink.
A drink. Yeah.
Or some mozzarella sticks. But a dinner there? No, I can't. Listen,
We did it once.
dinner there is for a girlfriend. You don't take your wife there for dinner. That's more of a girlfriend thing. That's very expensive.
So my Halloween question to you is, since you were involved a lot with Trapped in one form or another,
Yes.
when you go to a haunted attraction, how do you judge it?
Well, here's the thing. We were just at Midsummer Scream, and they had all those mini haunts in the back, and I was really excited to walk through them because I look at it with a critical eye, but the main reason I go is to have fun. I love Halloween. I've loved it since I was a kid. And the problem is that I went with Josie, and all the monsters would come up and go, rah! Oh, hey, Jeff. Hey, Josie, how's it going? And they walk off. And Josie goes, see? They keep saying that to me. And I said, I can't get the right experience. Now, we did do one of those escape rooms.
How were they?
Down in Anaheim.
That was so much fun.
It was fun. It was weird because there's no talent. It's all just
It's not scary.
keys
It's
and
mind games.
puzzles and stuff. It was fun. And the whole time I'm like trying to think of ways to make it better because of what we did in Trapped, you know?
Right.
So it's a different, we also went to, a couple of years back, we went to Sinister Point. And I
love Sinister
I thought I had a great time because like Trapped, Sinister Point gives you a singular experience. You're not being pushed through. So, like, we got to ride on Charon's cart across the River Styx, and there were sliders on the roof, and we were in a bathroom and like a crawl space. That was a lot of fun.
And they gave you enough time to experience.
Yeah, you weren't being
You
like
had to-
pushed through.
And then if you took too long, the monster would come by and they'd
And
guide you.
Scary
At
Mary
least me.
was in there.
But even in there, it's like the mirror opens and the monster goes, rah! Oh, hey, Rachel, hey, Jeff, it's Mary. And I'm like, oh, it's Mary. Hi, Mary. Be scary again, Mary.
Mary, Mary, quite contrary, Bloody Mary.
All right, well, my guest is Kevin. Give it for Kevin Horton, everybody. Thanks for coming on the show, Kevin.
Thank you.
Check him out on all his various platforms. All the links will be in the show notes. And I'm dying here, my voice. Let me get a drink of water here before we end the show.
I do have a professional voice site. It's www.hortonsvoice.com. I was surprised that wasn't taken, but I took it.
HORTON'Svoice.com. Check that out. You listen to the show, right?
Yes, I
You
do.
know how we end the show?
Yes.
Mr. Professional Voiceover is going to end the show this week. All right, I'm going to give you the lead up, and you can just run home
Now,
with it.
let's see if I remember it.
All right. There's no wrong way to do this. It's like a Reese's. No wrong way to do this. All right.
Except tonight.
No. All right. Let's thank everybody. My guest has been
Kevin Horton.
Kevin Horton. I am the voice. I am Jeff Tucker. Over there doing his homework is
Austin.
the Cleopatra
Rachel.
of Buena Park. Cleopatra of Buena Park is who?
Rachel.
And just back from work is
Luna.
and Josie. Hi, I'm Josie. Josie's in the other room. So, Josie, you just recently were voted president of your school. Yeah, I have to thank my father. He did all the work, and he's the greatest father ever. Now, Josie, you don't have to do that. Oh, wait, she's here. The president of Corey Elementary.
Sup?
So.
What's up? No, your name.
Oh, Josie.
Try it again.
Josie.
Josie, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All of us together, it's the insanity. It's a cyclone. It's a whirlwind of activity that, if you were looking on the internet, would be called
91 Reasons.
91 Reasons, everybody.
Thanks for listening. By Grandthar's Hammer. We'll be back with another episode. Live long and prosper. May the force be with you. So say we all. Hey, hey, hey.